Once, my father whispered words of wisdom when I was just beginning to date: "My son, a true man will not tolerate lies, manipulation, or infidelity. Be confident in yourself and earn the respect you deserve." Those words became my guiding star, yet fate sometimes delivers tests that make the soul ache and the heart shrink in bitterness. On that fateful day, news arrived that turned my very existence upside down. The crucial merger meeting was suddenly rescheduled. I was to depart at dawn, with my return expected only by Sunday's end. I had to be present as the new financial director, a promotion that not only promised the company's success but also the future of so many lives. But this news meant I could not attend the wedding, an event that held immense significance for my beloved Elise, who was not just a bridesmaid but the very soul of the celebration, the keeper of cherished dreams and hopes. "Are you kidding?" she roared, barely comprehending the sudden change of plans. "How long have we been planning this day? And now, at the very last moment, everything is falling apart, leaving me alone. Can't you see how absurd this is?" I tried to explain that the deal, worth over $2 billion, was not merely a job, it was a dream nurtured for years, a vision in which every person involved had placed their trust. "Elise," I said, "this project demands my undivided attention. If I'm not there, our company could lose everything and people will lose their livelihoods. I know it hurts, and I promise to make it up with the bonus, but I simply cannot pause now." Her coldness and indignation hit me like an icy wind, penetrating deep into my soul. For 19 years of our shared life, I had never imagined seeing her so distant, as if a chasm had sprung up between us, a void filled with bitterness and reproach. That very night, she ordered me to spend the night in the guest room, as if our bond had lost all its value. I tried to find the strength to understand her behavior, but my heart pounded painfully while my mind swam in a haze of hurt. Elise had always been a vision of inner strength and beauty. We had met amid the hustle of a great city, her gentle gaze had captivated me instantly. She was 5 years older than I, yet in her eyes shone an eternal youth, and her voice flowed like the melody of a spring breeze. Her past was marred by betrayal. Her former husband, Dr. Arthur Blake, had committed an act that left a scar on her soul. When she discovered his infidelity, she turned away with dignity, choosing the path of healing on her own. That act imbued her with a strength that many could only envy. On that fateful night, I tried to reach out and forgive her silence, to call her back into my arms, but the bedroom door remained closed, as if she sought to shield her pain from the outside world. I whispered, "I love you," vowing to call as soon as I landed in France, where the crucial meeting was to be held. Yet no reply came. With a heavy heart, I made my way to the awaiting limousine, each step echoing the realization that something between us had irrevocably changed. During the long hours of the flight, my thoughts tormented me. I called her repeatedly, left heartfelt voicemails, but my phone remained silent. Perhaps it was punishment for years of discord, or perhaps a sign that the chasm between us had grown too wide to bridge. Despair overwhelmed me, and I decided to seek help from our daughters, Tana and Liza, who were studying in college 4 hours away from home. I asked them to check on her, to ensure she was not in need of support. Their warm reassurances, their promises of care, soothed me slightly, yet the pain still lingered. Upon arriving in France, I immediately contacted our general director for the latest news, and learned that the meeting had been cancelled due to a family tragedy suffered by the head of another company. Without wasting a moment, I rearranged my travel plans and booked a direct flight to Boston, the city where the wedding was to take place. I was convinced that by arriving by 9 p.m., I could salvage something of the shattered dream. But, as fate often does, it played a cruel trick on me. At the celebration, amid more than 200 guests, the atmosphere was festive, music, laughter, wine, and genuine joy filled the air. Yet deep within, my heart was heavy with sorrow. I moved among the tables, scanning the crowd for Elise, the one who once was the center of my world. I approached the open bar, ordered a double bourbon, and clutched my glass, each sip a bitter reminder of all we had built together. Memories of our once happy life began to overwhelm me. I recalled how we had met, her captivating look, her gentle smile, that inner spark which ignited the flame of our love. I remembered the hardships we had faced, those moments when I shielded her from pain, when we together endured the blows of fate, when, despite all trials, she remained steadfast and loving. But tonight, I did not see the Elise who was willing to fight for our love. Instead, I saw her seated beside Arthur Blake, her former husband, the man who had once left her alone with her agony. At first, I thought it might be a misunderstanding, a mere dance amidst the celebration. But the longer I watched, the more it became clear, she was engaging with him as if nothing had ever happened, as if the past had been erased and they had found solace in each other. Their eyes met, their hands brushed tenderly, and at that moment, my heart constricted with unbearable pain. I could scarcely believe that everything we had built over the years could so easily shatter into fragments. A fury, mixed with resentment and despair, surged within me, a lethal cocktail that I could neither calm nor dispel. I stood for several agonizing minutes, watching them as if caught in a vortex of forgotten feelings, drifting into a secluded corner of the hall. My soul cried out for justice, for someone to halt this disgraceful spectacle, yet my hands remained paralyzed, robbed of their strength. I recalled my father's words, "A true man does not endure such betrayal." And yet, even those words could not wash away the pain that seared my insides. In that fateful moment, I reached for my phone as if hoping to capture undeniable proof. I took several photos and a short video, evidence of what had unfolded before my eyes. Then, with a chilled determination, I sent Elise a final message. "Good news, darling, the meeting's been postponed, and I'm on my way back. It appears tonight you are not alone, but with Dr. Arthur." With those words sent, I struggled to conceal the mix of anguish, bitterness, and a faint satisfaction that, at last, the truth was laid bare. I watched as a notification lit up on her phone, and for a brief instant, I caught a glimpse of realization in her eyes. But no reply came, and with an empty heart, I left the hall and made my way to my car. The following day, back in Atlanta, I switched on my phone and was met with an overwhelming cascade of messages. Notifications poured in, from Elise, her parents, her sister, her friends. Everyone sought explanations, everyone demanded to know what had transpired. Yet I remained silent, unwilling to revisit the past that had now been sealed. All that was left was to gather the remnants of my life, to accept the inevitable, and to move forward. I reached out to our daughters, Tana and Liza, and explained that work had taken an unexpected turn and that their mother was in deep distress. I implored them not to spread unnecessary words but simply to check on her well-being. Their voices, filled with love and understanding, offered a small respite from the pain, yet the memories of our happy years still stung like fresh wounds. Returning to work, I discovered that our office on the 16th floor had already implemented strict security measures. Elise was informed that she was not permitted to enter the building. Even when she attempted to come in, the staff courteously yet firmly explained that her presence was not allowed. Our relationship was now reduced to terse communications via lawyers, every emotion, every grievance, confined to cold formalities. Meanwhile, my professional life flourished. I was named the new financial director and entrusted with the merger that promised a substantial bonus and a secure future for the company. Yet every professional triumph was marred by the painful memories of how Elise, the woman I had loved with all my heart, had betrayed our bond in favor of old wounds and forgetfulness. I often recalled how we used to discuss our dreams, how we planned our future together, how we vowed never to allow betrayal. I remembered Elisa's words about the importance of being true to oneself and to the one you love. But now, everything was tangled, the past seemed to have disintegrated into tiny fragments that could never be pieced together again. I sought solace in my work, in my new status, in the company of friends and colleagues, yet inside the wound continued to bleed. Weeks passed, and fate once more played its part. One evening, as I finally found a moment to rest, destiny introduced me to Lucia, a young, energetic, and vibrant woman whose very presence sparked a ray of hope. In her eyes, I saw a reflection of spring's promise, and for the first time in a long while, I felt that life could again bring joy. As if by magic, the pain slowly yielded to the tender warmth of a new love. Lucia, with her gentle words and refined gestures, taught me to believe in love once more, even as memories of the past lingered. Over time, I began to understand that the past shapes our future. Experience, painful as it may be, can lead us to wisdom if we learn to forgive and let go. Yet forgiveness is never swift, it is born of deep reflection, of long nights spent in silence, of moments when the soul whispers that it is time to leave the pain behind. My life began to resemble a symphony, where every note, joy and sorrow, triumph and defeat, merged into a single, poignant melody. My growing relationship with Lucia filled me with light, yet I could not entirely forget the Elise I had once loved. Sometimes, in solitary moments, I closed my eyes and imagined the days when we sat together in our cozy Atlanta home, laughing and dreaming of a future that was suddenly shattered by one fatal mistake. Elise, left alone with her pain, gradually sank into a world of regret and lost opportunities. Her days passed in a bleak silence, punctuated by rare conversations with friends and meetings at a support group where she sought comfort and understanding. Yet, despite these efforts, nothing could restore the happiness she had lost. A void remained within her, a hollow space that nothing new could fill. Time flowed, and the world around me gradually took on new hues. Our daughters, Tana and Liza, grew into young women, and I took pride in their achievements. They reminded me that life continues despite all hardships, and that every new morning brings the chance for change. I saw my new relationship with Lucia strengthen, as together we built a small island of happiness, where every moment was filled with love and care. Yet the thought of Elise would occasionally creep into my dreams, like a ghost of the past, reminding me that even the strongest relationships can falter under the weight of deceit. One evening, 3 years after that fateful day, our paths crossed once more at our daughter's graduation celebration. Elisa's face, softened by time yet still striking, was wet with tears of remorse. Accompanying her was Arthur, the very man with whom she had sought solace in recent years. Our eyes met, and in that moment I understood that the past cannot be so easily erased, it leaves an indelible mark on the hearts of those who once loved. "Jason," she whispered softly, "you never gave me a chance to explain." "I am so sorry," I gazed into her tear-filled eyes and replied quietly, "Elise, the past is but a shadow of what once was. I forgive you for all that has happened during our 19 beautiful years together. But I must move on, and my new life has no room for old wounds." In that moment, a strange relief washed over me. Though forgiveness could not erase every wound, it allowed me to look to the future with hope. We said our farewells, leaving behind memories that could never be reclaimed. Elise departed with Arthur, absorbed in her own thoughts, while I, having found a new purpose with Lucia and our children, realized that every choice has its price. Months turned into years, and my life gradually assumed new hues. Work prospered, financial security grew, and despite past shocks, I savored each moment of my newfound love. Lucia became not only my partner but a constant source of inspiration. Her smile, her kind words, and her gentle touch gave me strength and hope. Together we greeted every sunrise and bid farewell to each sunset, each day a blank page upon which we wrote our story filled with sincere feelings and deep reflections. Yet, even as the pain receded, its echoes would sometimes resurface in the quiet nights when I lay awake listening to the whispers of my thoughts. I would ask myself if it was ever truly possible to forgive and forget, or if the memories would remain as soft rustlings deep within the soul, reminders that love is not only joy but also a trial. The answers did not come quickly, but with time I learned to accept the past as part of my journey, refusing to let it dictate my future. Our home in Atlanta, once a sanctuary of joy and warmth, had become a symbol of a bygone era. After the divorce, I decided to sell it, and thanks to wise investments, secure the future of our daughters. The house was transformed into a cozy family haven where every room held memories of happier days, and every crack in the walls spoke of the struggles overcome. With that chapter closed, I opened a new one in my life, a chapter where there was no place for betrayal or bitterness, where every encounter and every word resonated with genuine love. As time passed, I watched life regain its brilliance. Friends met along the way became companions, and new acquaintances brought smiles and inspiration. In the office, I found support among colleagues who valued my honesty and professionalism, and in my personal life, I rediscovered the belief that happiness can be found even after the deepest losses. My moments with Lucia were like a gentle dance, each step imbued with tenderness and understanding. Together, we dreamed of a future where the past was left behind, replaced by the promise of light and joy. Yet, in the quiet recesses of the night, when the bustling day gave way to solitude, I sometimes allowed myself to remember that day when everything changed. In those moments, I understood how essential it was to preserve one's honor, how my father's words had been the lifeline through the darkness of betrayal and pain. I realized that one cannot always defeat evil, but one can learn to live with its aftermath, transforming each wound into a lesson that makes us stronger and wiser. I recall the day I returned to Atlanta, arriving at my home only to find it filled with countless messages on my phone. I accepted the reality that Elisa's actions had severed the ties we once held dear, and I set about gathering the remaining pieces of my life. I explained to our daughters that my work plans had abruptly changed, and that their mother was deeply troubled. Their loving reassurances, even as they pleaded for silence, reminded me of a love that once bound us, even as I resolved to break free from that painful past. In the end, I recognized that every mistake, every betrayal leaves behind an indelible mark, one that can never be entirely erased but can be transformed into a lesson for the future. So I continued on my path, confident that every new morning offered a fresh start and that every evening was a time for reflection and gratitude for life's enduring gifts. Today, as I look back upon all that has transpired, I see how much I have endured and how deeply my soul has transformed. From a wounded, shattered heart emerged something new, wisdom, understanding, and a strength that allowed me not merely to survive, but to truly live. And although the memory of the past may never completely vanish, it has become nothing more than a faint echo, a reminder that true love demands the courage to forgive and the resolve to move on.